And hello, how we doing? Hi, hello. Remember this game? Might have played it once or twice before. Called Factorio. The last time, what were we doing last time? Oh yes, last time we were making our way through purple tank cards. We were making biomethanol. Some more engines might have mysteriously appeared, by the way. Some more track might have appeared. What else is going on? I think we're working on smelting as well. Oh, Holic! How you doing? Hello. Hey, Silent Storm, and we don't have a raid messages. This is the raid message. Hey, how you doing? Thank you for that raid there. Just in time, you are. Just in time. You're starting up with some Crastorio too. It also explains why Veldak is late. I left myself a reminder while I'm thinking of it. I got to have 48 smelters. The answer was 48, not 60. So I was close, but I was way off. And 24 for steel. Yeah, how are you doing? What were you just sort of starting up? Nice. How did your stream go? What were you up to? So I'm pretty sure I'm not following. I should get onto that. I'm very bad at not following other people. Trying Pi Light. Is that like a reduced version of Pyrannodons, or is it still Pyrannodons? Bad at following too. Yeah, I think that's something we have in common. I think I was actually... So, I was going to save this for a bit later. I think I was... There's, one of the streams, you came up as like one of the major sources of viewers. It was one of the top ones. Have a look at the stats later. There's some hilarious stuff I noticed in the stats. A reduced version, which is in theory much easier. In practice, it probably isn't. So the preamble that I was getting into was that normally, like when I'm setting up the next part of the playthrough, like I'll sit down and actually figure out how many of these things like I actually need and what I'm gonna do, and maybe put in a little bit of a cue to remind me. The problem is with this game is you start actually playing the game. So as well as doing that, stone got bigger rated, the gas generators got bigger rated and made bigger. This track got completely doubled. Some Megabase got killed, deaded. You know, all those little things that just happen in the background whenever you open this game up. A few other things that were blinking I got rid of. Nothing dramatic. So first things first, the correct answer to the number of the furnaces was 48. Hey, 55, how you doing? So I gotta wait for this to drain out. The second thing was that I do need 2 rows of iron properly, and I'd probably need 2 rows of copper as well. So I need to make that happen. So what I'm thinking of doing is having copper, iron, steel. Hang on, no, steel there, iron, copper, rare metals. That's the one. That's the one we wanted. That's why I left it there, to remind me, because I've demolished it. I need to put it back. The next thing I noticed, so to get purples going, got everything except for the final ingredient, which is, I'm trapped, uranium-238. So I need to get some U-238 going. I also happen to notice that is completely dead. Are you completely dead? Probably missing rare metal, something that requires rare metals, isn't it? Processing. Processing, because you're missing rare metals. Well, there's a shocker. So we better go smelt some more rare metals then. I had a feeling it was rare metals. Whoever would have guessed? The thing that was missing was stopping it from running. Alrighty. So, actually, let's get the old upgrade planner going. Just gonna phase everything over to red belt at this point. I'm gonna leave the crap power poles in there for now because there's so many in the system. So you want to be 12 and 24, so that's half length. The one on the right is the input, yes. Just for completeness' sake, chuck these down as well. Yep, that's fine. Fortuitously, this thing has finished. Did I? Yeah, I did. Originally I had a tank in the middle. That's doesn't work that well, so I got rid of it. So now we can take all this down. I'll make sure to connect that up before it gets demolished. Then we're going to need a little something something to unload from the trains. At 27.7 items per second, whatever that is per minute. I'm pretty sure stack inserters still rule supreme over using loaders. As soon as you get faster belts, that may change. Having said that, however, outputting onto the belts is definitely the domain of these things, loaders. But yeah, getting the stuff out of the train is still, I think, still best handled by the thingies. Alrighty, up again. What about? I'm gonna lower it down a little bit further to about there. You missed the heist? Ah, you just missed out on getting your skull drum then. The heist, Spellmaster. I tried crane loaders. I haven't actually heard of that one, so no. There is bulk loaders, which I've had a lot of problems playing with modded. It never seems to work right. Oops, a bit of a sneeze. Saying that, this one could probably be in the middle. What a mod does lend... Mods like Factorio 2 do lend themselves to mods like bulk loader. And I'm gonna want one on the other side. Somewhere in here should have been... oh no, I didn't actually move it yet. Oh, you're not quite in the right spots. I mean, it's fine for all intents and purposes, but if you want it to be really pedantic, it needs to be up one tile. How are you actually getting power at the minute? Or not getting power? That's the answer to that question. Well, probably should fix that. Dino was quick today? Oh, I haven't even heard the... Oh, I set the thing to busy, so I won't hear the ping anyway. Astonishingly quick, if it's already gone off. I mean, when I first loaded Dino, it was like within a minute. It's actually kind of disappointing that it's now taking upwards of 20 minutes to an hour to notice. That's really annoying. But now that these are gone... Ah, there we are. I was like, do I not have thingies in my pockets? Thingies being the technical word for stuff in my pockets. And stuff being technical term for junk. Ah, look who's already here. Amazing what happens if you have a train set up and ready to go. Absolutely itching to come over. And now I just got to wait for these to empty. Go back in there. All right, let's load these up with coal. Two, three, something like that. Don't know what else I need in terms of smelting. I don't actually remember. So we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Go. Coke. Ten minutes after Dino went off, did it? Let's not forget to set the recipe as well. It's kind of important. Ooh, while we're at it, so just do a little bit of a belt upgrade. When I say a little bit, I mean a lot. Let's just make the bots busy for a while. I believe this one was the belt for the rare metals. I was about to say iron, and I was like, the rare metals. Yes, that is the one. Oops, can't have that. For now, we'll just swoosh it through there. So I've got pockets full of sand again. It's probably going to eat an entire... Yeah, it is actually eating the entire belt. So 24. So the thing that I was missing, the reason why I was close but not close was, and I sort of was conscious of it. Where was it with that one? It's 16 seconds, which is the same time for steel in vanilla. So, except that this is 5 in, 5 out, and in vanilla it's 5 in, 1 out. But I was thinking it would be, because 5 in, 5 out really is, well, it's the same thing, so I was thinking it wouldn't be far off 60. Yeah, it actually does bring it down quite a bit. Basically brings it back down to standard, near standard vanilla rates. Right, that can do its thing. How far is that off? Airway. Airway off still. Right, well that's happening. Receiving rare metals again? Yes, yes you are. Alrighty. Step number B is getting into that uranium patch. To get over to that uranium patch, and I want some rails. Let's get railing. Now, was Goldak in a meeting, or were you still here? Actually, I will save it for later. I have a theory. That when I was looking at the stats, I have this theory. Oh, we also have an ad starting soon, apparently. Oh, I also didn't finish that, so I better finish that just quickly. Yeah. Will I ever explain the theory? Um, uh, yeah, I guess. Hmm. It's not very convenient. Go there then. Ah, you're making the base pots do it. I'm gonna do it before the bots get here. Don't need that radar. The radars in this are pretty crazy. I need that too. It looks like that connects down there as well. And you can see we started getting exploration out here. We can also see the biters are starting to get real dense. I mean, could still probably take them on with the current weaponry, but seeing as though we're getting into big biter territory, I would like more advanced weaponry. Which reminds me, now that all this is unlocked, this has been ticking away in the background, railgun turrets are a thing, and they are quite fun. Let's make sure that gets queued up. I might also just reorder things so that it gets generated sooner rather than later. I'm sure I saw some other ones. Nope, just that. No, let's just start picking off the lowly ones after that. So, I do like the railgun turret. Mithy, oh hi. Hey, you is. Righty. There's a T intersection right about there. Been a while? It has. I was actually looking at my YouTube stuff. I haven't touched it since like 2021, as it turns out. It's been a long while for everything. All of my stuff, for everyone who used to visit. It's all around been very quiet. I think 2020. Actually, there might have been some streams more then. That's actually uploaded. Let's check live. Oh no, Feb 8 2022. So I basically haven't touched it in a year. I did some Dyson Sphere stuff. Seven hours to process the HD. And for drumming, it's that time, is it? Do I want it a bit closer or a little bit further away? I might err on the side of pulling it away a little bit. About there. And then plop that one about there. Hopefully, I can do that. So the theory that I have is, let's go back to this, open up this page again. So I was looking at the February to March, or the statistics for the month of March. And it's actually quite. The thing that's quite interesting is that it's 96% of views come from direct links or other. Of where the views come from, 96% come from direct. And then there's one view that comes from discord.com, one view that comes from Google, one view that comes from, is there any deal? And one that comes from Twitch Theatre. whatever cancelled project that is. Ooh, Michelle, how you doing? In terms of tags, Australia and English have the best results. Koala, kinda. And then modded. I added the modded tag for this. Not a needle mover. One person has paid attention to the modded tag. I mean, there is this whole conversation about whether or not Twitch tags actually do anything in the first place. There is all that. It's interesting. The go live notification has a 20% reach, regardless of how many people click on it, which hasn't changed either. Use bookmarks. That'll be a direct. Someone uses. Yeah, there are 8 people who use email notifications still. 8 people this month used email notifications to did I get your react after the stream? No. I don't know what. So it's this, the views has always had this stat for follows, and I'm not entirely sure what that means. I don't know if that means if you click on the on the right hand side or whatever, you have the followed channels and people click on that. I'm not sure if that's what that means or something else. Uh-oh, that's not good. That's very not good. Uh-oh. I am missing track. Spiders appear to be nomming on my oil. I don't even know where that stuff reactions pop up. Yeah, it's like half of all views come from follows. 10% comes from browsing. 10% comes from recommendation. 5% from people actively searching. 2%, 35 people came from the homepage recommendation, which suggests that the homepage recommendation doesn't really do anything. And yeah, then on site, which is the go live notification, nobody clicks on that, mainly because it only pops up for like 3 seconds and it's gone. You just cannot react to it. Where did that biter go? Oh, there's a thingy there. How did that happen? I thought I turned expansion off. Or is expansion off? I just was Captain Blindo. Maybe expansion is actually indeed on. Surely not. So as follow Veldic around the Twitch sphere, is there a statistic for that? That is what I was leading into with the theory. So if we look at views from channels, there's a good chunk come from Cat, a known home of Veldak. A good chunk come from JD Plays. A good chunk come from T Hacks, another place where Veldak frequents. And then there's, a few others like Hofnix, Colonel Will, Aussie Nuts. There's Bold Viking in there as well. Admittedly, I don't know if if Veldak hangs out there. Removed the friends feature. Yeah, they removed that a little while ago. It was kind of, the whole social aspect was kind of useless though, admittedly. What am I looking for? Shovel. Go. I really hope that was an expansion party. I mean, knowing me and setting up this map, I probably turned expansion off. Yeah, so what was it? There's 3 views came from Hoffney. There's 3 from a bunch of others, 3 from Exterminator, 2 from Clowntown, another place Veldak. We know Veldak hangs out. And the last one, the interesting one, 2 came from Amarath. Is one of those Veldak, is my theory. Because nearly every other channel there, Veldak has in common. I don't even know how. Yeah, it is legitimately a thing. I don't even understand how. So there are 2 perverts here that came from Amrath's channel. I wonder if just mentioning the name is enough. Like there is some kind of algorithm. Well, you can say he's a major influence. It's actually interesting too because if I look at the views by location, um, out of, what is that, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15. Oop, are you on there, Captain Spitter Pants? Get a little bit far away from the turrets too. How many Kiwis? 43. Oh, it's 43 views, so they might not be unique views. Might not necessarily be unique views. Which is also potentially, no, true of the Amarath one too, possibly. But I don't think so. What else is there? One erect there, and there's one still hiding in the ground there. There we go, they're dead now. So the top one, of course, is from the US. Top country is from the US. Second is Germany. Third is Australia. Fourth is the UK. Then Netherlands. Then, so what is that? Nearly 500 from the US. Nearly 200 from the UK. 100 from the Netherlands. 100 from France. 100 from Canada. Collecting all. I mean, at the very least, they're actually bothering to collect it finally. I think that's more the point than anything else. Um, from the Czech Republic, there's 50. No, sorry, 40. New Zealand is about 40 as well. No, this is views by location. There's a few from Denmark, Poland. Say hi if you're from Poland too. Oh, and Brazil. Say hi if you're from Brazil. 40 in the raw Veldak. Guaranteed. Yeah, I can't think of who specifically was from Poland. I know there's a few names that pop up from Brazil. That's not a good look either. Kiwi ones could nearly all be you. Potentially. Like it doesn't say unique views, which means it could just be views. Ends Maxine. Come on in. Are you from Poland? Hey, greetings from the Netherlands, Kill Bill there. Proudly representing the Netherlands. Now, did you... No. Who does not has fuel? I think it's time to just convert this thing over. Hi, train. I don't have any shields, so I would become quite flat if I was to stand in front of you. Now, that was probably important. Still supplies the track is still one line. I mean, it's slowly evolving into 2 lines. That should help with the speed a little bit. Blam. Okay, now is this thing going again? Nominally. What are you missing? Oh, you actually do need purple as well. Oh, never mind then. Never mind. Use fuel from random slot or raise the first one. Always I believe it starts there and works its way across from memory. Don't necessarily quote me on that. I mean, it depends on what it's already burning and so on and so forth. Made a Coke slushy? Ooh. Windows version of Chrome using a Mac. Google just hides the options. Drink fridge is a tad cold under the ice tray. Oh yeah, if it's a little mini fridge, yeah, those are quite cool. There. Okay, Captain Train, off you go. Off I go then. Couldn't be installed. Server has Windows Server 2013. Chrome stopped supporting 2 versions back. Classic Chrome. Oh, I missed a signal as well. Bonk. Google doesn't provide an older version archive. Didn't they used to? I suppose these days they don't. They're very much incentivized not to. Could always use something Chromium based that isn't Chrome. If you're willing to brave such things. You need acid. Okay. Now, did I fix this in my modular train stops? The answer is probably not. But I know I do have a little flashing attachment. There. Technically marked as a pack stop, but it can be used for all manner of activities, such as is what we're trying to do here. Oh, there's some turrets here. Edge. Just for the edgy people. Edgy people or the veggie people? Right, is that enough? Probably. What do you want? Sulfuric acid. So what I can do is take that, copy it, plop it, right about there. Maybe this time cut, flip it and reverse it, paste it. Less than 25k. Oh yeah, because it's not powered. It was like, why isn't it working? Well, of course it's not going to work. It has less than... I can't tell that it has less than 25,000. I'm going to need to yeet some of that. I am at there. Let's get rid of yellow. That's all good and proper rated. Plug in power. Yeah. So now, start seeing... Should see the acid train very quickly appear. Right, we are uranium. This is the load. We only enabling one at a time to come. I'm going to copy that, including trains. And we're going to plop it down somewhere, probably there. And there should be enough in the base to do the job. Like your booty over there. And of course, uranium patches do damage, which is kind of annoying. Apparently, that research that I queued up, that I at least imagined I queued up, is done. So let's continue queuing that up as we paint down the mining drills. Get all this good stuff done. Ouch, 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 ouch. Actually, come to think of it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So down, up, down. So I did actually want it to go the other way. That is burning my face. It's again very burny. I don't know why they had to include that. There's that drumming we know and love. If I was smart, I would nom some fish. Taking radioactive damage. Is that only limited to players, or are there other things that can take radioactive damage? I think the final tier of power armor was able to withstand it from memory. Still kind of a dumb feature. This is the real reason why I was avoiding doing the uranium. One and two. Go. I've done that wrong. Yes, it's meant to loop back up. So yeah. Up, down, up, down. 2, 3, yeah. It's not quite balanced, but it's probably fine. Still going to get the liquid plumbed in too. JD already playing Terra Nil? Wonder if he got a copy of that. It's kind of an interesting game, but if it came out in the 90s, it would just get canned as what do you call it? Edutainment. It'd be classified as an edutainment rather than a game. Yeah, just simplify that a little bit. Alright, let's plug this in. I said let's plug this in. Calorian camera overflow. Hello. Still got to answer the question if anyone's from Poland. I had an earlier question about the stats I believe you might have missed. I possibly did. Clan always jokes about respectfully watches Amaranth, but only if she's muted. I see. Is that the one? Oh, that's more of a statement than a question. Do the stats also give you the number of viewers that are watching, listening, or watching and listening? Apparently I missed that one too. That's how the Polish gets missed. Because I don't notice that. I'm all Captain Blindo. Pack, you're actually from Poland. I didn't know that. How did I miss that? When did that come through? There's Kill Bill back there. Talking about Edge. That looks like it didn't come through. Hmm. 15 minutes? Yeah. Yeah, it just legitimately just didn't show up for me. Apparently... Oh no, there it is there. On the other backup chat. Yeah, the one I was looking at, it didn't come... Did it? I don't know. That's how the... Yeah, Twitch filters them. Now we know. They're being filtered. Alrighty, we're starting to mine uranium now. And what are we missing? Just mining drills, I think. Yep, mining drills. Ask for data, ignore data. Sounds pretty much. What happens if I pick up the ore? You have a hot pocket. This should be on better fuel now. Go faster. 220, I don't think it does. It should accelerate better though. Yeah, you know when you pick up uranium because you suddenly have a hot pocket. What I mean by that is you start taking damage. Alright, next step, we need a uranium unload. Right about there. And the last step, we need a train to actually go between the two. So load and unload. Cargo. Empty cargo. Fill her up. You have nuclear powered power pack on your back and it doesn't give you any damage. Yeah, that is exactly right. Right, what's not happening now? The blues, is it? Ingredient shortage. Tech cards by the looks of it. As in blank tech cards. Which is a lack of... Okay, excellent. That's all run out. So the next step of the smelter operation is coming through. Coming to fruition? Fruition? Fruit delicious? Let's cut that in half. It's now going to be steel. Rid of that. Change it over to... That's glass. That's steel. That should be 24. Yep. Should be 48. And it is. Did I scoop up any of those thingies? No, I didn't. That off by one. Because it is off by one. We'll just pretend that never happened. And just carry on as if everything is fine. And maybe not throw let's not overreact and throw tables and demand a refund or anything like that because they're off by one. You can even see it there. Oh dear. I mean, at the very least, it is getting more fasted. Is that not what you want? To have more faster? The expense, perhaps, of more structure? Into a more opportune position over there. Get rid of you, get rid of you, get rid of you. But a little bit of inventory cleaning. So 1, 2, 3. So blah 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 blah. Copper, copper, iron, iron, steel. It's meant to be. Copper. You should be iron slurry. Yeah. Go there. Copper. said copper. I guess. Always one that's just got to break the wire. Really, this is the problem with small power poles. Their wires are so fragile. Snap really easily. Plop some red. So, even though there isn't really any room for them, technically, go there. They can just peel into there. Okay. Speaking of Seafer Cat's here. Oh, speaking of earlier. How you doing, Seafer Cat? How you is? From one mod to another. You're free. Did you finally escape the mod? That is the right hole, isn't it? Yes. How we doing? The goosen. I like how you got the long cat, the long sausage cat, and that's another. It's pooping out another long cat, which is popping out of the poop of the long cat. Hey, Sylvan. Come to scratch my pillow and sleep on my furniture. Darn cats. I'm pretty sure I just shoved copper down the iron hole. Which could be a bit of a problem. I wouldn't say a bit of a problem. It... or did I? No. Oh, it looks right. No, that's right. Okay, never mind. This is fine. So that one's meant to be iron. And then that one there to be steel. Okay. Yeah, welcome on everybody. We're doing a little bit of Factorio too. At least attempting to. Just trying to sort out smelting. That doesn't need to go in there anymore. Just rearranging how the smelter... I'm upgrading the smelting, rearranging how it works. So I'm doubling up on iron and copper, moving steel from there over to there. And then just going to get rid of this whole row entirely, because it's sort of a bit cramped in here. So if we do that, we'll have some more space. While they're making levels in Rise of Triad, they found an object left out of bounds of the map that would crash. They made a special level named I'm Free and just creative. I remember that map. Yeah, there's a moving wall. An error message pops up, which is another sketch of the wall with a message in it that says, I'm free. Should pull it up. Amadon, how you doing? There. I mean, it's going to get steel into that still somehow. I think technically Rise of Triad was it was a Wolfenstein engine game because it was originally going to be a sequel to Wolfenstein. Oh, that's right, that's there. Then it turned out it was doing Doom instead, so they made it their own thing. I cannot see it. There it is. Oh yeah, the deathmatch options in Rise of Triad was ridiculous. There was a few non-deathmatch modes as well, which is very unique for the time. There was that one where you got to collect as many tokens compared to other players. What are you outputting? This inserter seems a little confused. Oh, out of power. Yep, the whole lot's out of power. Why isn't it flashing though? Huh. Why isn't it flashing if it's out of power? It's really... Oh, the wind turbine, that's why. There we go. Actually quite hilarious. So that means everything down here was all disconnected. Maybe it's the ultimate power play and West was pulled here by Amarath. Maybe we got the answer to the question as who came from Amarath's channel. My empire for a power pole. Very much feels that way. In to bring you up to speed on what the conversation is about, in the channel statistics, there are several views that came from Amarath's channel. It's like you know how you get this list of views by channel? One of them was Amarath. Well, it could be Darthy. Darthy hasn't refuted it yet. You been hanging out in Amarath's channel? This is the Inquisition. I mean, I think we somewhat established that it was probably Clown at this point. Feels needlessly long for what I'm trying to accomplish. I like how I always try and make a main bus and then completely fail at it every time. Also now realise that I actually need centrifuges too. I mean, the original theory was that it was Veldak had been moonlighting over there, since nearly every other channel Veldak has in common. looking for research purposes. It was studying the visuals very closely, is what you're saying. And taking notes. And in 7.5-minute intervals. Alright, we need centrifuges. These things. Which, oh boy, that needs concrete. That's mildly annoying. Do I actually have those in here yet? In theory I should, and I do. Not making them though. Oh, that's right, I turned it off. Stop it hogging stuff. So in that case, we need 10 of them. I might reduce to 5. I said 5. What was that, it was Gundam or something? The game that, Clown also really likes. What version is my ME? It is... yes. It's the version. So I need to bolster... I saw a little bit of a weakness of the iron department. Here. It's from the previous playthrough, this ME. There we go, now both belts are fully stonked. It's like Gelgun or something, and it's a free-to-play game, but then the oh, was one of those empty? There's a $90 DLC to replace their outfits with like skimpy maid outfits and bikinis and things. Oh, there's a thingy missing there. Now, what the hell was I doing? I can't remember. It's probably not that important. Probably making concrete so I can make centrifuges. So concrete is water, iron ore, and brick. Which is also really annoying to make. One of those times where you need like a dedicated concrete factory. So I need a train unload for that. Point out in Discord that a simple plan would take care quickly, properly like. Oh, we got something better than that. The currency is permanently fused to 7777. worst punishment. Is that the currency may never accumulate. Ah, it's almost, but not quite the same spacing. Yeah, just a simple iron unload. Fortunately, there's no water nearby. Like, there's water over there, but that's about it. I really need to attach to a new copper outpost because that one's a little spent, shall we say. Got that one there. We got that one there. I think that might be the next priority. It's getting that going. Now mining drills. First order of business. Or just running up. I mean, I could take a car, but you know, effort and all. You also can't ban him. He has good recipes. Veldak wouldn't be amused. Oh, this is gonna hurt. Oh, nearly there. Nearly there. Just a little bit more uranium death. Return glowing. It actually reminds me, since the work trip, I need to check my shoes with a Geiger counter. In theory, they should be radioactive now. Trouble is, I got to get a Geiger counter to do that. That 242 blank. And I could plug it in right there. It wouldn't make much difference. Probably just be a little bit more elegant for your loader. Okay. To unencase you from the trees, actually click on the loader. Alright, mining drill time. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. Go. Fortunately, they're all pointing the wrong way. Small oversight on my part. Just a small oversight. Rip it all up, start over. Everything. Give me this one. I will use that backwards. Thankfully, shift clicking, I just remembered is also a thing still. Do not have none, no thingies. So what do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So, make life easier on myself. So that I can get away with a 4-way balancer. Balancer. That's sounding posh then. Like that. So now we only have 4, and now I can get away with a 4-way balancer. Which is convenient. In more ways than one. 1 Geiger counter, 2 Geiger counter, 3 Geiger counter, 4. Oh. 1 Geiger counter, 2 Geiger counter, so on and so forth. One, 2, 3, and 4. Do I use... Can get it straight away. I mean, also, Sesame Street isn't like a thing for me. Like, I do remember it being on TV. It's always been on TV, but it's not like... Not a big thing for me. I don't think it is for most people here either. I just use substations because they're just better. Thought it worked out at most cases. Yeah. What I mean is that, me personally, Sesame Street was on TV, but it wasn't like... It was sort of background noise. There we go. I could wire up logic to it, but I'm not going to. Generation that watched a lot in the 80s. As I say, like, it was around here, but there were so many other things. Like, why have Sesame Street when you have Mr. Squiggle? I do remember the Lamb Chop show as well. I think we're all thoroughly over that stupid song. Or both of them. Which is a religious lady. I think you found me out. Oh, what other shows were there? Another one I was actually reminded of end of last year or early this year. Oh yeah, Skippy was on. Generally you didn't unironically watch that though. It was on repeat. I think that was really on. That was on until the modern Warner Brothers came around. As in, and when I mean modern, I mean what's it called? Tiny Toons Animaniacs came around and sort of pushed it to the side, and then Rugrats and yeah, all those 90s cartoons. Rugrats. What else was there? Who did the stuff on ABC at that time? Widget the World Watcher was another one I was reminded of late last year, I think it was, or early this year. That was another classic. No one remembers that widget. Righty. Get some water down for concrete. Probably a good thing I made some room. Wireless charger. Is that what it's for? I thought it was for zapping enemies. Skippy was decent. I still prefer the Skippy dismantling the atomic bomb episode. That's a highlight, that one. Dismantling? Diffusing the atomic bomb. Concrete. It's only one, wasn't it? Yeah. So you have long boys for the iron going in on this thing, even though I put it in the wrong place for it to actually reach. This is fine. I was actually curious if, Michelle, you knew of any of those sorts of the environmentalist cartoons, like Widget. There were some others as well. Smoggies was another one that I think is even more 80s. I only vaguely remember that one. It was a little bit before my time. Captain Planet, yeah, that one was one of the later ones. That was more like early 90s, like 92, 93, I think. And the Planeteers really beat you over the head with it. They made sure you knew that you were bad. You're a bad person and should feel bad about everything. To see frames. Oh, ads. Oh well, let's just build this while we're waiting for the ads. Get the old stone line down. The last thing is just parking it into a chest like that. Might as well, just throw it all in. Scooby-Doo. Oh, there's another one that was always a staple that always existed. The interesting thing is I don't really know anyone that really cared for... I don't remember anyone back in the day that really liked Scooby-Doo. Hashtag ads. Who was it? Channel 9 or 10, I think, had the Hanna-Barbera stuff. No, because like 7 had Flintstones right before the news. Okay, let's get the water in. Spicing up. Flintstones was your faz? Dastardly and Mutterly. I don't know that one. It made me think of, there was one that it actually reminded me of one that I remember, Victor and Hugo. Oh, Dick Dastardly. Ah, yes. And their flying machines. I think... Uh, wasn't there like a dastardly in... Oh, what was it? I can vaguely picture some race thing which he was in as well. Like, it was a variety of different cartoon characters and they were in the race. Wacky Races, that's it. Yep, Wacky Races. That one I do remember. At least bits of. It's not low? No, good. How's the engines doing? Still surviving. Very rumbly over here. Three and 4.4. Well, it's still surviving. Tom and Jerry. I never liked Tom and Jerry. There was one in particular that I never cared for. Which is interesting because it is basically Roadrunner and Coyote, and that Roadrunner Coyote, that's amazing. Have you made 3 so far? Okay. Thing is, I'm going to do the processing over here now. there's a Robopod there, good. Smoggies has Canada and France as the countries of origin. Do not remember that cartoon. I don't remember much of it other than seeing the title screen and the name. There was another cartoon I do remember watching as well, but I cannot remember it at all. It was about, it was like broken and used or defective toys having adventures together. That one was, I believe, animated. Not to be confused with that other one. The I always forget the name of it. The pink bear. I think which was also exported to the UK. But yeah, very very specific. The pink bear. It's the pink bear and the stupid accordion, obnoxious accordion, and stuff like that. So yeah, if I scoop up this crap, it's a bit hot in the pocket. The interesting thing is if you put it in your hand, it's no longer hot in the pocket. Which you wouldn't expect, but apparently that's a thing. Speaking of hot in the pocket. Alrighty. He now has some centrifugification. Ah, crap, I forgot about that. uh, okay then. Can you... Where are you? There. There's a hot pocket. 1 and 2. Oh, well, output priority... not output priority, but output filter of dull rocks there. Then you shiny rocks there. Can passive provide both of those and make that a future meat problem. And they're now making purples. Right, are all these things going now? Yes, yes they are. Something that needs to be dealt with is this here. Oh, there's no circuits. Why is there no circuits? Because there's no copper. There's no copper because the train's down here. I'm very, very gradually collecting copper. Let's just keep you at 0 for now. There's another cartoon that I remember later on around the time of Rocco's Modern Life. I don't remember the name of it specifically. I think it was called Stick Around or Sticking Around. And it is just the most wildest fever dream you have ever seen in a cartoon. Like surrealist fever dream. It just degenerated every episode. Or I think it was like two shows within one episode, one 30-minute episode, and it just always degenerated. It's just the most wildest, insane, surrealistic dream world experience. Now, rare metals, need to extend that and probably down there, planning ahead for the future. Alternatively, I could put a junction in. I believe I have some variety of junctions available in this book now. Like I could Y-junction it, or that kind of Y-junction there. Go around the patch. That's not bad. I mean, there's also stuff like that as well. I could put that there. Or I could just extend that along there. That's also an option. That there would also be done. Finally made a cross-junction work. Scrolling through the feeds on Facebook, the loosely titled article is OnlyFans. 2 Quebec influencers caught by taxes. Should have prioritized a tax debt instead of finishing my house. The Odyssey. That. Do I have a grid version as well? It should be gridded already. That is, I mean, there's, let's see. Canadian series. Oh wow, that's very 90s, that title screen. That is very SGI generated type graphics. Fantasy world called Downworld, where no one reaches the age of 16, but not having heard of adults, the children there shape society in their own ways, mostly forming tribal clans. It sounds vaguely familiar. I mean, it is sort of done and done. '92 to '94. Just the most powerful club is is the town, a brutal despot police state run by the oldest kids. It's kind of like it's like young Masters of the Universe, Heroes of the Universe. Crap. I'm nomming on my thingies. I can't have that. It actually reminds me of another show that we had here called Spellbinder, which wasn't bad, but it was all right until it just got really drawn out. It's like you knew what was going on, and you knew they were just stretching the runtime towards the end. Excuse you. It is quite painful sitting here. If I picked up a... Oh my god. Bloody bots. The bots are dangerous. What is it? It has Ryan Reynolds in it. Sure. Yeah, Spellbinder was this sort of fantasy series where these kids on a school excursion to the woods somewhere. They find they stumble on a portal taking them to this weird fantasy world of sort of like medieval kind of steampunk, where they have these magic crystals that power everything. And there's this ruling. Sir, can you get deaded? You find the thing. It's like this medieval serfdom type kingdom, and it's just ruled over by these spellbinders. That they have some kind of magic sciencey crystal thing that gives them power, and they use it to harness electricity and do all kinds of things. And it was shot in Sydney, as far as I recall. Let's see, what does it say? Yeah. Sydney high schoolers are accidentally stranded in a parallel world with the Industrial Revolution. Only a small number of people have this technology called the Spellbinders. They pretend it's magic and use it to rule over everyone else. Yeah. And they manipulate fear and ignorance. And they also rely on fear. And they use science to survive. And they amaze everyone with the magic picture box, which is a video camera. Yeah, they go for a school camp, the Blue Mountains. They find the parallel universe. The giant flying machines and yeah, the orange crystals that give them the levitation and everything. Gonna head out. You're fading fast. Boring you with all the talk of spellbinders. Like, it sounds kind of cool, but it is, at least for a little bit. But yeah, as I say, towards the end, it just became the same thing, rinse and repeat. It's like all those heavy serialized kid shows where it's just drawn out forever. Forever drawn out. Alright, time for some deadenings. I'm trying to think of an example, but I can't even remember one. I think Ben 10, thinking of a later cartoon, I never really watched Ben 10, it's, again, after my time. But that seemed, from what I saw of it, that seemed like one of those cartoons which is just infinitely drawn out. I think Darkwing Duck was like that too, but I also never really watched that. Never cared for it. Disconnected cooling to inside and significant data card build. And it actually works. Oh, that reminds me. My most common programming mistake is ret run. I'm kind of curious if you come across that one very often. Is having a syntax error because it doesn't know what ret run is. And it did sort of sound like a fairly significant setup. Bonk bonk. Is Factorio the one that removed the damage, or is that a different mod? When you run into trees, remove the damage. Unless that was from tanks. It might have removed... I don't remember, because I don't really use tanks anymore. Alright. I see purple cards. I don't see greens, though. Are we scooping up that? Here we are. No path. How come you don't have a path there? Oh, you literally don't have a path there. Whoever would have guessed. Tanks no longer take damage from... Oh, okay. Polar. What's a Finnish polar bear? Representing Finland? We're actually talking about people from different locations earlier. Go buy beers for food now. The old liquid alcoholic lunch. Oh, it's a terrible idea. It's a really bad idea putting them that close. I mean, it sort of doesn't matter because the trains are so short. But it's not something to make a habit of. Sure to delete those. And those. Still time. Right, one more tile, then it's done. There we go. I mean, potentially is the makings of a bad idea. A giant train deadlock. But I'm sure it'll be fine. I like how both of them are a bit wibbly wobbly. I mean, it could straighten it out and, lift the whole build up a bit, but that requires me to lift the whole build up a little bit. Also, while I think of it, there's one cartoon that Disney would never do ever again, is Dave the Barbarian. Remember that one popping up as a, that one popped up because, I remember that one, I saw it because it was being used, to demo the HD channels back in the day. It was just playing as a HD exclusive. Back in like 2006, I think? Somewhere around then? When HD was still a novelty? And so Dave fashions a megaphone using a squirrel and a megaphone. So many good stuff, good things from that show. Is going on there? There's a lot of movement. So one downside to the ME is there's a lot of back and forth movement. Okay, back to the important stuff. Shotgun turret. Should actually research now. Also mining productivity. Probably should think about that too. And that. Get to work toward nuclear power. Coke liquefaction? Coal filtration? Ah, you turn heavy oil into coal. So 80 heavy oil into 8 coal, or is 10 coal into... Yes. Coke liquefaction produces 20, 90, 10. 20, 10, 90, 20, 10. But it takes light oil. Oh, it takes light oil instead. In theory, coal liquefaction's better. I'm gonna have to figure that one out from the recipe on Factorio Lab. In theory, coal liquefaction's better because it gives you the heavy oil and you can just crack it down as you need it. And then with productivity cracking, it's an improvement. Is it 10 and 10? Yeah, 10 and 10. The numbers are all the same. Interesting to see how it compares. This Coke, it is a 6, so it's 1 to 1 basically. You're adding wood to coal to turn it into Coke. Wood is a catalyst. Suppose I should probably visit that. How we doing on? Ah, copper's back. Excellent. Ah, yes, the thing that I needed to fix. I kept looking at it and I wasn't. I kept looking at it, and like the belt was full, so I was like, no, that's not actually an issue, but it is actually an issue. Hello, you have a question. Factorio plays in search for a mod where you can plan and build and then make blueprint off. Does anyone know what it's called? So you can plan and build. The way I typically do it these days is if you go console, oh, apparently I did commands. Slash backslash forward slash editor, and it turns on the game editor. That's one of a few ways, and this lets you build as you were. You can place items down. It's a little bit more advanced though. Just got to go to time here and click play to make the game do its thing. And yeah, you can like copy sections. Yeah, place down things as you want. Add generator. Where is it? Infinity chest generators. Is this? I'm not sure if this is what you mean or not. But this is one way. There's also what's it called? There's another. Creative mod. That's it. That was the older way of doing it. Isn't okay. Hello there, Tucker Bear. Creative mod might do it. Look out, it's Savi the Fox. Ever played Crestorio? Can you summarize the difference between vanilla? What is the ultimate goal? So Crestorio is a total conversion mod which replaces all of the tech and all of the items and all of the processes with unique with its own items. So like science is replaced with these tech cards. So there's a basic tech card, red tech card, green tech card, military tech card. Sounds kind of familiar, doesn't it? Chemical tech cards, production, and high tech. The ultimate goal of this is to build the intergalactic transceiver, which has a giant eye of Celeron in the middle, and once it charges up, it completes the game. Some streams use it, and other YouTubers use it. So it's probably creative mods in that case. Just going back to that question before. Yeah, usually most people do it using creative mod or the editor. I'm not aware of any others, but there may be others. Those are the two most popular ones. As I say, like editor's my way of doing it these days. But creative is so good. So yeah, editor mod. Okay, you familiar with that one? I have to look it up. This mod, Factorio 2, one of the end game. There's actually more tech cards. So there's another 3 tech cards after the one. So there's Singularity, Advanced, and Space, and then the Matter tech card. It says optimization, but it's really a space one. You see, it's satellite. So you can actually transmute items into matter, and then turn that matter into something else. So you can turn coal into matter, and then turn that matter into copper, as an example. 7.5 matter into 10 copper plate. Wait a minute. Does that mean 10 coal makes 3.5 matter? Oh, okay, 7.5. So it is actually balanced, okay. 6 matter into 100 crude oil. So you can turn coal into crude oil, for example, or you just turn them into these products specifically. This mod is pretty awesome. It is great. Yeah, Factorio 2 also doesn't, like, there's a lot more going on, a lot more processes and a lot more items, but it doesn't kick you in the nuts like Bob's or Pyrannodon's does. So it's a lot more approachable if you've never really done any total conversion modded before. Like it's still definitely more going on, but it's nowhere near as I say, beating you over the head and kicking you in the teeth and just generally being very rude and mean compared to say Bob's mods or especially Pteranodons. Further to that, you can actually there's another mod called Space Exploration, which can be added to it as well. To extend it even further. I don't hate myself, so I haven't actually gone down that route. So this is just straight Cristerio 2. Let's see what broke in your Pteranodons. Enjoy a swift kick in the nuts sometimes. Just sometimes when you're feeling a little bit down and a little bit lethargic and unmotivated and so on, just a little sneaky pop in the nuts while you're not paying attention, just to liven things up again. Yeah, it doesn't subscribe to or what I would call the Greg Tech approach. Playing SE and K2 when it's huge. Yeah, it's definitely the most easygoing. It does, like the first time, it still takes a little bit to get used to, but yeah, you're not fighting for like 8 hours a day for a month just to get assembly machines going, like in Pteranodons or Angels or whatever. Like I had a decent starter base with I think What did I have done in 2 hours? This game? I didn't have science automated. It also gives you like some crash ship parts to get started with. So it's got some basic ship assemblers and then like a really basic lab, which is that computer and a generator. Pumps need power. Offshore pumps need power. That's another difference that will catch you out. Will catch you out the first time. Yeah, these things here can actually assemble, do assembly. That thing just generates power, and this acts as a really basic lab. My player in marathon. Oh boy. The end goal of what I'm doing is to try and megabase it up. See how many tech cards a minute I can get going. That is starting to look a little thin. I think about expanding stone, the stone situation. I better think about sending this train out as well. Seeing as though it's almost, almost filled up. Also, adding fuel to these trains would probably be a good idea. I haven't actually set a goal or anything. Ah, the time also, 1:45. Trains need fuel. Um, I mean, in an ideal world, yes. If I ignore the problem, then no, they don't. Oh look, it's dark again. It's dark o'clock. Should really join that up too. I mean, it's not doing stone, so I could always do that instead. Who would have knew? Who knew that trains actually needed fuel? Revelation of a lifetime, isn't it? Righty. Slap down one of them. Let's clean this up. Don't think I need a radar out. Yeah, there's one right there that's doing the work, doing the job. Time for a nap, a nap, a nup. Right, let's finish that off. I said finish that off. There we go. It's all proper like now. It's a proper job. Some would say even. There might be a train loader in the way. Just putting it out there. I'm doing all this crap too, even though it's completely inconsequential. Any other alternate paths? No. Really need to get the power going via the wire properly. Yeah, that's coal as well. Hmm. Oh. Yes, yes you are. Ah, you've stolen the name the base. I see how it is. Doop a doop. A boop. Hey Rain, how you doing? Seven red and green wire north at T intersection? Very likely. Admittedly, I'd probably never use it, but it would certainly help that debugging it later. I return with beers and food. Emphasis emphasis beers. Just liquid bread. I mean, you're not wrong. Technically, back in the old-timey days, that was what it was. Beer was more akin to liquid bread. I remember seeing this thing as well, saying that the wine back in like the Roman, most wine in ancient and even Roman times was effectively what we would now think of as vinegar. Like there was some above average, as in not just vinegar in a bottle or an amphora, but for the most part it was yeah trash by comparison. Oh, am I hitting them? Oh, I got to worry about that though. Imagine what happens when I turn that monstrosity on. Need them. Oh, I got the railgun turrets. Excellent. I think one of those things that will happen in between is me joining that up, joining this up. Well, let's head back and get the railgun turrets sorted out. I was feeling so inclined as such. Could probably do it in this thing too. I think those were the railgun turret ammos, or those. One or the other. I actually see the railgun turrets themselves, unless it's those there. Pick up the coal as well. Oh, it's because it's trying to eject it. They're saying Germany 3 beers is as good as a schnitzel. Haven't drunk anything. He still hasn't drunk everything. I'll get rid of some of those. Apparently I'm getting rid of the furnaces now too. We've shut the front door, the pre-rolls are back on. Next one up. Yeah, that is definitely a railgun turret. Sure. As soon as I see it, there it is. Goes there. Railgun shell. That's them. I'll do for now. Laser artillery. Might knock those off for now, but I will turn those on. Steel plate and red circuit. That's not so bad. Oh, it's because you need turrets. And low density and rare metals. Oh, I'm going to get those in the network now. Rare metals, rare metals. Rare metals. Passive provider. The loader. Okay. I'll drain that belt out finally. Finally fix it. Finally. Metals goes down there. Steel goes down there. And nothing else goes down there. And you go in there. Not that I particularly need it. But I'm encouraging it. You output, yeah, prioritize that one for now. That belt's only really there for spillover. So that makes more sense. It's just to help push more through. I don't really want to morph faster this too much, because I'm going to move it external eventually anyway. When that'll happen? Don't know. I could even move, set it up over here or something. The eventual goal of this playthrough is to have more, mostly stuff train-based. I want to do something of a rail bus again this time. So everything will be on a train. Aggressively put on a train even. Alright, down here. In crafting land. Buffer chest. Quest. Say 50 of that. And 1,000 of that. Alright, so what's keeping you still? Ah, low density, that's right. Alright, low density. That is over here. And for my convenience, and the convenience of the bots, I mean, it's not really for the convenience of the bots, it's really for my own patience. Put thingy there, and a provider there. Yeah, there it is. Stuff that was in my pockets. Might even go as far as to start productivitying that. Not a huge gain, but actually I think it is actually fairly significant gain putting productivity in these. At least save on copper. Probably should do the same with these as well. Flickering lights is not a good sign. Yeah, it's just teetering on the edge. You... Okay, you can take more generators. So we shall do so. Let's throw more gas generators at the problem. Right, that should get some turrets going. Lucky last thing. Actually, am I making gas generators? No. There was the odd chance that I was. Engine units. It's only 50 beams. It's not going to take that long. The never-ending more faster. It's true. Ha! Has some turrets. More importantly, we has ammo. Speaking of turrets, let's pop that there and pop that there. Alrighty. Where did I leave the car? Did I leave it out in the middle of nowhere or did I bring it back? Over there. Oh, that's so far to walk. Realistically, I probably should have some regular turrets on my inventory. Probably wouldn't hurt. Alright, who are we going to go visit? Possibly over... Oh, I did bump into something. Maybe over there. That was the one I was tempted to. Now that we've got the railgun turrets, just the last thing we do is just got to try them out. Show the biders that I have superior firepower now. They might have big biders, but I have big turrets. Going down this way. So menacing. That's how we deal with biters. There we go. That's much more efficient. Arty trained when? How far off are we, artillery? Not far, technically. Do it right there. There's also, should be laser artillery as well. I don't remember what laser artillery was like. Yeah, there it is. 224 range. Compared to the U50, 224. Range 192. That's... yeah, I could get around that. I reckon I could get around that. Laser artillery. I have a feeling gonna need nuclear fusion to power it. But, yeah. Alright, what's the time? It is time to end, I think. I say as I trundle off to the the copper outpost, or what's left of the copper outpost, to clean it up. Whew, yeah. Yeah, it's definitely time to end, I think. Just nom everything, including all the ore and all the trees and the fish. We're packing up everything. We pack up everything. Streamer's ending is... Stream's bittersweet. It's like the end of your favourite TV show at the end of the week. It's a bit that way, isn't it? Although I confess, that's not a feeling I've had for a very long time. Because there hasn't been a TV show that I care about in a very long time. Ah, don't need you either. It's valid. I mean, we were talking about so many good TV shows earlier as well. 90s cartoons, 80s cartoons and such. I mean, when you're going up against something like Rugrats, like, you can't compete. You really can't. Actually, thinking about one last one, you can quite easily compete against something like Ship to Shore. that was not that was not a particularly great kid show. I I think there was like 3 iterations of that show too. And none of it made any sense. It was just some stuff. There we go. And finally, we'll just add more power. Is that going down 16? I think it is. .2 and 7.2. Think. Yeah, 5.8. I think I may have reached its limit. I mean, that's going to start filling up again because these aren't consuming maximum, but yeah. DuckTales. Yes. And Tailspin. So very important. Alright, I think we'll leave it there on that note. So, thank you all for watching, hanging out and all that good stuff. Appreciate you being here. Don't remember Tailspin's theme as well? I don't actually really remember it either because it's so long ago. As I say, trying to end. Chip and Dale. Rescue Rangers. There you go. Alright, let's get out of here.